Alright, so today's topic is Whispers in the Walls. Let's get right on into it. Gonna be a bit of a shorter video, I imagine, mainly because I walked away from this quest with more questions than answers, as I'm starting to notice many people have. But I enjoyed it by and large. I'm glad that we're back to the Tenno, and we're actually learning about the Man in the Wall. The only thing I would change is I feel like before this they should have touched up on armor a bit. Mainly because of the fact that, they made a point to at the end of New War be like, yeah, no, Narmer is still very much so active, and they have a new leader. So, hopefully we go back to that at some point. But, I am glad that we're talking about Man in the Wall. That is one of the things that I wanted to see. We also learned that Albrecht is in the year 1999, which... weird, but sure, I guess. Honestly, I thought Warfare 1999 was going to be a sort of, flashback series that they were going to do to try to explain how everything started to happen, which I thought would have been a cool move. I don't think they'll ever do that, that being said, because this wasn't that, in fact, but maybe they will, but I don't think so at this point. But it's what I thought it was initially. The quest revolves around you helping Lloyd and the Kavya rebuild, repair, etc. And then after the fact, you actually have some new mechanics that I've kind of been asking for a while, granted not all of them, of course. I did not ask for Tennokai, but I like it. I think it's a bit weird, but I like it. Granted, I don't have much for Tennokai mods yet. However, some of them do seem to be pretty nice. I, however, was asking for melee arcanes for quite a while. I'd say since I unlocked the primary and secondary arcanes, which was actually quite a while now, but once I unlocked those, I was kind of sad that there was no melee arcanes. So I'm glad that they finally exist. As well as Arcane Dissolution. But we'll get into that later. That's going to have to be its own segment, if you will. As for the quest, the answers that we did get, I did find kind of nice. The Man in the Wall being able to control, the, what you call it there, the vessels, there we go. I've been calling them the Titans for a while, because they're fucking huge. I mean, come on. Anyways, it is interesting that he can control those as well, which actually kind of gives me the understanding that he may be able to, or he may have the same powers that the Tenno and Drifters do, which would make sense considering he's where we got our powers from. As well as the fact that Albrecht also apparently made a deal with the Man in the Wall. That may have been somewhere and I just didn't see it beforehand. I've noticed that there's been a lot of lore that's been like that, but I don't know. Either way, I do find that interesting. I'm kind of sad I didn't talk about it a little bit more in my actual gameplay video, because immediately my mind was going a mile a minute about that. But I do find it interesting that that's the case. Makes me wonder where that's going to go. I guess we shall see. As well as we're probably going to be going back in time to go find him. As to what we're going to do with him, I don't know. My best guess is we're either going to have to kill him, or there's going to be some mystical bullshit that allows us to pull the Man in the Wall out of him. Knowing DE, it's probably the latter. But either way. As for the post-quest content, I haven't got to play too much with it because of Gargoyle's Cry coming out, as well as, the usual maintenance like Archon Shards, Call's Mission, and getting the last few Incarnate adapters, because I am still missing, I think, 3 of them? I'd have to double check, but I think I'm only missing 3 now. One of them is this week. We do have the Netra Cells, which I'm grateful for. 5 new opportunities at Archon Shards every week. Hell yeah. Mainly because one of the things I was saying ever since they announced and released Archon Shards is they're going to run into the same problem they did with Focus. That being, the players that have been playing since it came out in, say, 3 years' time will have all of their frames set up with Archon Shards, and the newer players won't have even, 1 or 2 set up. That's the thing I was thinking of, because, the reason why it got to me is because they had just finished the Focus rework when they did that. And they had outright said on a dev stream, oh yeah, we did this, that way the newer players could catch up and actually be there pretty quick. I was sitting there, I'm like, okay, but then why did you proceed to make another thing that's going to have the same issue? I don't know, maybe I'm thinking about it too much, but I always thought that was really stupid. Anyways, I am glad we have the Netra Cells, because 5 more shots at Archon Shards is already really nice. Who knows, maybe we'll even get more waves in the future. I am heavily disappointed with the Archon Shard fusions. I have heard that there's ways to make them good, and I fully plan on using the purple shards for Volt and Gyre because, well, electricity. But anyways, I'm kind of disappointed that that's what they do, mainly because you're sacrificing 2 shards for the sake of getting 1. I would have preferred for it to create like stronger Archon shards. I know that's a huge ask because they're already crazy powerful as it stands, but you gotta make it worth sacrificing 2 shards, if you catch my meaning. I'm hoping I'm not... I'm hoping I don't seem crazy about this, but honestly, it doesn't feel like they're good enough to warrant sacrificing 2. Granted, there are cases where I definitely will, and now that we have access to up to 7 a week, I may fuck with it a little bit more. But still, I don't know. They still seem too precious to me to do that right now. That's just me. Anyways, as for the bounties, same old. It kind of feels like Zeraman with a couple other options. I will say, I have mixed feelings about Mirror Defense being back. I am glad that we're actually doing something with it. I was worried it was going to become like Infested Salvage. The fact that a lot of you probably don't even remember what that is speaks volumes about it, and what I mean by that. But either way, I was worried that it was going to become another Infested Salvage thing where it was only 1 node and that's all you ever did with it. But I am glad that they're actually doing stuff with it and it's become a more common game type. I'm also worried that Conjunction Survival may be doing the same thing. We shall see. We kind of have that, because if I'm not mistaken, you can summon the Necromech in certain ways with the Survival on Sanctum Anatomica. There we go, I had to remember what it was called for a minute there. But either way, we don't have an outright Conjunction Survival, aside from the ones on Lua. I know I talked about them a little bit before, but can't really praise the Netracells enough. I think they're pretty well implemented. I do wish that everybody had to take one of those challenges at the beginning, just for the sake of, forcing everyone to have something going on with themselves, give them what they're supposed to be. However, it is kind of cool how many times I've joined a Netracell and then somebody's already carrying all 4 of them. It's like, Jesus Christ, dude. But either way, the rewards are actually quite nice out of it. I do like that you can get the Archon Shards and potentially Chow Forged. I am sad that the Legendary Melee Arcanes are only available through there, however, it is nice that they're worth grabbing from there. I also like that they're not, like, absolutely necessary to have, which does help if you don't, have the time to put into that. Mainly because, melee weapons are already pretty solid, and you already have the Incarnans. Alright, so as for Arcane Dissolution, I'll be honest, I've been kind of dreading talking about this because I know it's been a heated debate as of late, but I personally think Arcane Dissolution is awesome and should have been implemented a long time ago. Especially since everybody who has gotten Arcanes, it has at least 1 or 2, probably way more than that they're never going to use. And this is a great way to get rid of them without just, throwing them away, basically. But it's also nice to have additional shots at Arcanes that you want, especially considering some of the drop chances of said Arcanes. There is a reason why Arcane Energize got to be so lucrative for a long time, and it's just because of the fact that it was pretty hard to farm for. I know a lot of people are mad because of the fact that they spent either, months, maybe even years trying to get Arcane Energize maxed out, or 2,000 to 3,000 platinum. At least on Xbox. I heard that it's cheaper on PC, but on Xbox it was going for like 3k towards the end of its time, which is nuts if you ask me. But anyway, and part of it is also people are mad that they spent that, but I mean, hey, I think I spent a little over 2k. I'm sure I've made a video talking about how much I spent on it, but I got Prime Access and spent the platinum from that on that. But yeah, it stings a little bit, but at the same time, I'm just glad that it's more accessible for the players that don't have it yet, especially considering how incredibly useful of an arcane it is. I'm glad that it's finally more reasonable to farm for. Don't get me wrong, it's still going to take a while, I imagine, unless you do Gargoyle's Cry, but it is nice that it's more accessible, and that's my thing. I'm kind of sad that we can't access the Sanctum Anatomica Arcanes via the Dissolution. However, they may add that in the future. I imagine that the reason why they didn't add it already is because they wanted people to actually play the update, rather than just dump a fuckload of Arcanes into Dissolution and get them all that way. As for Gargoyle's Cry, I honestly think they just released it too early. They released it, like, what, a week after the update came out? I feel like it's way too soon. Everybody's still trying to get their footing as far as the Whispers in the Walls update goes, and people aren't exactly ready for it yet. And I don't mean like, oh, it's too difficult or whatever. No, it's just people aren't ready for it. They're still working on the shit that was already there. I mean, on the plus side, I guess it means it'll take longer for people to finish the update stuff, but at the same time, if that's what their goal was, that's kind of a shitty way to do that, if you ask me. Ultimately, it's whatever. I'm still playing Gargoyle's Cry, mainly because I want the Eidolon Arcanes. But either way, I actually, funny enough, I was waiting for this to like the update to happen because I knew that they were probably going to do something along those lines. Because of my little brother, he still doesn't have a lot of Arcanes. He finally has a Max Mult Reconstruct. I helped him out with that, but yeah, he doesn't have Arcane Energize quite yet. So it's nice that he has the chance to get that now. But either way, I think they should have released it a little bit later. Honestly, I would have said like beginning of January, if you ask me. That way people have time to finish out the Sanctum Anatomica stuff, and then they can start doing the update there. But I don't know, that's just me. I don't really care for how it runs. Just kill the fragmented one over and over and over again. It feels really tedious. However, I wasn't around for earlier raids. I did hear that the last few were like that. Granted, I've heard Scarlet Spear was really good, but I heard Orphix Venom was fucking awful for the same reason. But I can't really speak on that for certain, so I won't. Feel free to feel however you want to feel about that, but I can't have an opinion on it because I haven't done anything with it. But either way, this ran a little bit longer than I thought it would, but hey, that's alright by me. I hope you enjoyed. I don't blame you if you didn't. Either way, thank you all for watching, and have a great day.